Now, this is my favorite time of the year because during hunting season, I love the early season. I love the October lull. I focus largely on feeding fronts. Where cold fronts are coming through, you're hunting the next day after, those first cold evenings after a front. It doesn't matter if the temperature is dropping from 80 to 60, 90 to 70, or 60 to 40. The point is that that big drop and the weather that comes with it ushers in a feeding binge by deer. Great time to be in the woods. However, when it gets towards the end of October, the pre-rut begins. And that's when my tactics completely shift. And really the pre-rut is accounted for at least half of all my mature bucks that I've shot with a bow. So, and a lot of those have been my oldest. You think about, you get a great crack of those bucks before they actually are really moving and going all over the place. So the pre-rut is a great time to hone in on those core bucks that you have close to your land and you're looking to get a crack at, especially in the morning hours. And there's a lot of tactics that change. Get excited. The pre-rut is now. It's happening just within a few days to a week to 10 days in your area. So get ready. And this is how I hunt the pre-rut. First of all, you have to know the beginning. The pre-rut's going to begin in your area when you actually have core mature bucks in your location. Of course, it's the timing. The timing's always the same. I talk about that in every rut video. The timing starts the same. If you're in southern Michigan, central lower Michigan, southern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, you're over into northern Pennsylvania, New York, the rut's going to begin, the pre-rut at least, October 20th, 22nd, 23rd. And you're going to notice that activity taking place. It's not that the does are ready, it's that the bucks are ready. And what that means is that it's not relying on does actually coming into estrus. It's relying on that specific time of the year and cold weather. If you have very hot weather, deer aren't active at all. So when it's cold, when you have those cold fronts pass through, it begins that roller coaster weather hunting opportunity. And that's when that pre-rut activity begins. That doesn't mean the does are being bred. That means it's time to employ rut activities. That's why we came out with the How to Hunt the Rut web class. It talks about all phases of the rut. So I encourage you to check that out in the description. A new web class that just came out. You can also track the rut through HuntCast on HuntWise. That's something that just was released last Monday. And it's allowing you to track and hunt the rut through time-dated, historical rutting tendencies, experience, expertise, and so that's another tool you can use. But the beginning, it's always the same time, but you're going to notice if you have core buck activity, if you have mature bucks around, they're going to be leaving rubs, scrapes, they're going to start chasing, and they're going to be very active during the morning hours. So those are some of the signs you can see. It's just an explosion of rubs and scrapes. There's some rubs, some scrapes that form when they first go in to get their velvet off, they go into hard horn. Their testosterone levels are really increasing, but that's at a time when you could really take advantage of the pre-rut and actual pre-rut hunting. So look for those signs. So the beginning, easy to see. Now if you have non-core bucks, meaning bucks that are coming in there onto your land in the middle of the night, they're not getting there until that time, then you're going to find that your rut is going to start when the rut lockdown, when the peak rut actually starts, about 10 days from the beginning of the rut. So at that time, you're going to see rutting activity because you're waiting for bucks to come over from a mile away, a mile and a half. If you're getting pictures in the middle of the night, that means those bucks are coming from a long ways away to get there, usually a half mile, mile or more, to get onto your land. And so you have to wait for that, opportunity, and wait until that time, that peak rut, when deer are really moving. After they breed their first couple does, then they'll be coming out. So the beginning, know your beginning, know the signs, and then it's the morning hunting gold mine of opportunity. It's incredible. The majority of my bucks shot in general during the rut, about 70% are shot during the morning hours. Why? Because they move a lot longer during the morning hours than they do in the afternoon, and that is not any more clear than during the pre-rut. They're very specific and defined morning and evening stands. There's a huge difference. But the morning bedding area opportunities, bedding area tree stands, stands between bedding areas, they're made for the pre-rut. That's when those bucks, while they might not move miles during the day or a mile away or a half mile away, they're going to move miles within a 10, 15, 20 acre area. And if you have those stands, you're taking advantage of the backside of bedding areas. You're not going through food to get in there and spooking deer out in the morning. You're coming on the backside of bedding. You're taking a long way in, waiting for those deer to come back to you. Great things happen. And those are the stands that I really look for. I'm always looking for my next great morning bedding area stand. Really looking at the strategy of that and focusing on those pre-rut. I'm going to those stands for the first time. I haven't buggered those out. I haven't spooked them at all. Waiting for those deer to come back to me, and then I'm going in for the kill on that pre-rut morning opportunity. It's a gold mine of opportunity. I can't overstate that. Bucks move about 3 times longer in the morning hours during the pre-rut than the afternoon hours, and certainly the evening hours as well. They hardly even move at all during the afternoon hours, and they move very little in the right before dark hours. So really focus on the morning. And that's why all day hunting during this time, very bad strategy. Now maybe you're on public land, you want to sneak in, you just want to sit there all day, but even then there's a very distinct difference of what deer use in the morning around their bedding hours versus the afternoon in food source areas. So really pay attention to your stand location. If it is an all day stand, it has to be between that X of movement where you're in between bedding and feeding all day. But what you'll find is those bucks aren't really leaving their bedding areas too much, even during the pre-rut, during the morning hours. So if you're not right in the back side of the bedding area, blowing your scent, of course, away from it, or using the hills to your advantage, making sure the deer are below you in the morning, then you're probably not going to see much activity if you're 200-300 yards away, because they're not moving that far. They're moving a lot, but they're not moving that far away from their bedding areas. On the flip side, in the evening, there could be a funnel of movement as deer are coming in to that food source in the afternoon, and you're hunting that funnel, you're hunting where all those trails converge and come into that bedding, into that food source. And really, that's only the last 45 minutes or an hour of light. So it's hard to find a stand that fits all of that. In fact, typically they're 200-300 yards apart, even on a 40-acre parcel. Backside of bedding near one, 50 yards, 100 yards from a food source, maybe over a water hole, mock scrape as bucks are traveling to food, maybe even following does to food. So great opportunity to hunt at both times of the day, but really ignore that midday time. Focus largely on those morning hours. If I had a choice between hunting morning or evening during that time, I'm definitely flipping over to those morning hours, focusing on that and ignoring those afternoon, evening hours. Number 4, drastically different stands. Make sure you define your stands. If you're hunting an afternoon stand on food sources in the morning, there's a great chance you're going to spook out deer, because when you're going in, you're going through the food, they're already there, you spook them out, and guess what? Not only do you ruin your morning hunt, you ruin your afternoon hunt too. So be very wary of doing that. And then also, if you're hunting a bedding area stand, the reason you can get out of there at 11 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the early afternoon, is because you have the luxury of sitting there for hours and seeing every deer around you, knowing where they're bedding, knowing where they fed through, when they fed through, so you can slip out maybe a backdoor entrance, get away from the deer, and get out of that stand. You don't have that luxury when you go in the afternoon. You're going in blind, you're likely to spook deer around, you don't know when they're there, when they're moving through, if they're bedded in a certain spot you need to avoid. So that's why when you go to a bedding area stand in the afternoon, you're likely to spook deer, ruin not only that afternoon's hunt, but also the following morning, the following mornings after that, for a week or more, especially for the mature bucks. So you have to know whether it's public land or private land. Are these morning stands you're going into, afternoon stands? And there should be a drastic difference, especially in the peak rut, when bucks are largely extremely inactive during the middle of the day. They're going to be active during those cool, especially cold front mornings. But after that, they're sitting during the bulk of the day, even in a cold front morning, and really not moving to the last 45 minutes, hour of daylight during the pre-rut. Cold fronts rule. I hunt the roller coaster of cold fronts the entire season, let alone the rut. And that's where I find I maximize my opportunity. There are true 50% days where you go into the right stand with the right wind, you've left it alone, you have a great approach, it's a cold front morning, those are 50% sits. It doesn't take a lot of morning stands to get your buck during the pre-rut if you have that core buck on your area, if you follow the weather. I believe on hot days, you still have that 1% chance you can shoot a buck, but you can have 50 times the opportunity if you're hunting cold front mornings compared to just waiting on luck and waiting for that warm weather and going in. You can't make up a 50% sits by combining a lot of 1% sits, because what happens is you blow out those opportunities for the future to actually have a great hunt, to have that great morning hunt, because you already destroyed it in an afternoon hunt. The wrong time, the wrong weather, you've gone in. So use the surgical strike method to really capitalize on the pre-rut. That's why there's 6 phases of the rut. Yeah, the pre-rut, the rut lockdown, the peak rut, the post-rut, the second rut, the third rut. There's 45 days of hunting the rut, not just a 7-day window in the peak rut. Take advantage of the pre-rut where I kill half my bucks. You should too. Don't just look at it like I have a 9-day rut hunt. If you blow it, If it doesn't work out, you have to wait another year. There's incredible rut opportunity about 10 days to 2 weeks before people are traditionally even taking their vacation off for the rut. Take advantage of it this year and beyond. And you'll find, like myself for the last 3 decades, that is an incredible opportunity to maximize your potential of success during the rut each and every season. Folks, I want to make sure you check out my web class video series, whether it's how to design your food plot program or how to design your property in general. And we have a new one coming out that'll be how to hunt the rut. But these bucks back here are a testament. Some of these bucks go back to 93. They're even in different states. I urge you to check out those web classes so that you can help yourself, help your land, help your hunt. The link is in the description. And also for those that have tried them out, I encourage you to offer some feedback in the comments below. Thank you.